Vincenzo Rocara Squargialupi Brancaleone.
Oh, that is your name. I thought you were ordering in Italian. And Ponton.
Yes?
I am sorry you can't satisfy your wife.
Hoba.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. If you enjoyed last week's interview with the director of this week's sequel, Harold Zwart, man, I love talking about his journey from just a small town in Norway, and then he goes on to direct One Night at McCool's. He's lunching with Spielberg. Michael Douglas picks him to direct One Night at McCool's, The Karate Kid. And I think the coolest thing about this whole story was the fact that he, no matter when his movie premieres, worldwide tour, he's stopping in his little hometown of Frederiksted. Coolest thing ever, I think. And then they set up like this little walk of fame. Jackie Chan was there, Will Smith, the whole 9 yards, everyone. But yeah, that was cool to be able to talk to him and then learn about directors having an audition for movies. I never thought of that before, but his story about The Karate Kid was great landing that. So if you haven't listened to that, check it out. But wait until this week's review. Wow. The Pink Panther 2, starring Steve Martin, and a really, honestly, like, just the cast in this movie is like, phew, chef's kiss. Like, people in the movie doing things that they normally don't do, which I love. But before I talk about any of the silly antics and the racism, I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Doug. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's so funny. This is another movie that I watched it before I talked with Harold, but I just watched bits and pieces because I don't want to take it all in because I want it to be pretty fresh when we do this. And it's so funny. This is American Wedding all over again. I am seeing people in a whole new light. 2023. I'm not saying I went woke, but man, there's some things in this movie, not even the racism, the sexism, and he just does not give up.
Well, okay. So, and I hate this, like, do this or say this because Harold is a great guy.
Great guy.
But I hated this movie.
Really?
I hated this movie with a passion. I did not laugh. It took me about 4 different viewings to finish the movie. I thought it was terrible. And okay, so, you and I were talking about movies that are kind of like remade, with other actors. Mm-hmm. I love the original Pink Panthers, right? I love Peter Sellers. I mean, to me, nobody could do Clouseau like Peter Sellers. Oh, and I feel like Steve Martin is just taking it way too over the top. First of all, I can't even understand half the things he says with his accent. Like, I just feel like he's really like, he's almost like Mr. Magoo than Clouseau. Like, I just think he just made, like, he made it such a buffoonery. And again, Clouseau, it gets in these antics, but Steve Martin just took it to a whole stupid level. And I like Steve Martin. I hated him in this role, and I hated the movie.
Well, here's one thing I'm going to present to you because I enjoyed the movie. It was funny parts. I love seeing actors play out of their shell a little bit. Alfred Molina was really funny. Jean Reno, seeing him in a totally did. You think Jean Reno, his movies, you don't think of him like this. And again, I'm not saying that it was the greatest thing for him to do. Andy Garcia was pretty good in this movie.
Okay.
John Cleese.
Okay. First of all, why is John Cleese the head of the French police department? He's the only person who doesn't speak French. Everybody else has a French accent in the entire, department except for him. He's English. So why would you have that? But wouldn't it make more sense to have Jean Reno as Clouseau? Like, he comes across, I mean, I think he's Moroccan. I don't think he's French, but he has that, like, he sounds French. Like to me, he should have been Clouseau. I could see him doing Clouseau. I just don't. First of all, I just see Steve Martin, and I think to me the cartoon was the best part of the whole movie. If I could just watch the
good.
entire movie with the cartoon, I'm okay.
Here, I'm going to post something that I believe is 100% true. And I don't like to say this, but I think some roles are impossible. I don't think anyone can do it. I'm not saying I don't think Steve Martin. It's not even nothing against Steve Martin. Like, he gave a try, and some parts I did laugh at. Some of them. Some of them, like you said, you couldn't understand at points. But no, I think it's an impossible act to follow.
It is hard because he played the role so well. Peter Sellers. It is a hard act. We said the same thing about the Joker with Heath Ledger, and I'm sure it can be done. I just think he put too much effort into it, and I think that's what did it. Like, he just made it like he tried to do Peter Sellers times 20. And I think that's what it is. It was just nonstop. And if you just dialed it down a little bit, maybe it would have been better. But he just, the fact that you don't have a Kato, you have him fighting two kids was dumb. Like, this should have been a Kato. So I don't know.
No, I did laugh at the part. We'll get to it later, but just because it's so funny because it's totally different than you think of this Peter Sellers. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but I was watching with my wife, and I was telling her what's really funny about Peter Sellers is there's like these jokes that are not even the main part of the scene. Like, I my favorite one is Shot in the Dark, and just the scene of him pulling up. And it's a far master shot. Like, you're not even close to him. Yeah. The door opens and he falls in the pond, falls in the water. And then he's wet for the rest of the scene. And that is like the funniest part of the whole thing.
You know what it is? It's when the way Peter Sellers did it was very natural. When he's sniffing the cream and he gets it on his nose, and then he's interviewing everybody with the cream on his nose. Like, it's a very natural comedy where I feel like Steve Martin wasn't natural. Like, I feel like he was pushing hard. And I think that's the difference, where like Peter Sellers, like I said, very natural, all the comedy bits, the falling down, the things he said. And listen, you go watch his movies, very sexist, when he was always, and every time a beautiful woman went by, like, he was always the same way. So I think they were trying to get that in this movie, with the times 20. But I don't know. And again, I feel like Steve Martin was an odd choice. It just, he doesn't even look the role. I mean, they gave him the black mustache, but he still has the white hair. So it looked like a Hitler mustache almost. Throughout the movie. What?
No, I just think it's really, like, I know you said about the Joker. So I agree. Like, people are like, oh, Jack could only be the one that does it. Then Heath Ledger, and then Joaquin Phoenix. Like, but I don't know. This is just so hard. I don't know. Maybe one day somebody could play it. It's such a hard thing to do, but let's go into the movie. Let's get right into this movie. And so we introduced, and it's funny because we talked about Steve Martin and another weird accent he had when we did Looney Tunes Back in Action. And it's so funny. I thought of that in this movie, and I'm like, wouldn't that be funny if, like, it was the Tasmanian devil who is the tornado? Because the funny part of the beginning of the movie is you have all these people in different parts of the world at museums going to see, like, these amazing artifacts at each one, but they're all just cracked glass and a little calling card that says the tornado. So that's like that sets up the entire movie of that's what we're gonna get.
You see that in movies all the time. The bad guy always leaves like a playing card or something. Do you think bad guys in real life do that?
God, I hope not. I really hope not.
Because it happens in movies all the time. They always leave like their like little, symbol of whatever it is. And it happens all the time. I wonder if, like, if someone's robbing a bank, do they leave like a little Joker, card on the, somewhere or something? I don't know.
I would, like the wet bandits, like they clog the sinks. I don't know what I mean.
Like, yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, really clever.
Well, I mean, yeah. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to say is what the other issue with this movie is, I mean, I never saw this movie. And the minute the person who is the bad guy comes on, you knew right away. Like there was like, they really weren't trying to, it was so obvious that like, I mean, seconds that person came on, I knew. And it's like, all right, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Really?
you know what I said? I was like, wow, she's way too hot. That's the first thing I said. I'm like, she's in this movie for some other reason. And then that would have been the perfect switch that we like. Spoiler, there's a if you've watched this movie, this is a very hot woman, Sonia, and you could kind of guess it. Sort of like the
kind of.
I know you say
she stands out so much. The minute she walks in, it's almost like a light hits her, and she literally stands out the second she walks in. You know she's more than just what she's portraying her to be. I mean, it's just so obvious.
A bit better twist. Well, we'll get to it because I have better ideas for like the way the movie really should end it, because it would have been like. Because I agree with you, like right in the beginning, whenever you watch any type of movie like this, you're like, who could it be? And there's so many people. I'm like, oh man, John Cleese, he'd be good, right? He hates Clouseau. You know, he could make him look like a bumbling idiot where he couldn't solve it right under his nose or something. But no.
But see, I think he was miscast too. Like, I don't think, you know, it's Dreyfus, right? Or no, what's his name in that movie? It's
Oh, I forgot. I honestly, I don't know any of their names. I just wrote, I couldn't follow the character names because every time they spoke, I'm like, Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia.
Right. Well, in the old Pink Panthers, John Cleese's role, the guy that he's playing, is such a major role because it's always the battle between him and Clouseau. Always. Yeah. You know, the fact that like later in the movies, he becomes the ultimate bad guy. Right. And I just feel like John Cleese, again, I think he was miscast in that role because it just didn't their chemistry was not there. And again, the fact that he's English running the French police department made absolutely no sense.
Maybe that was a joke.
It only goes down from there then. So
I don't think this has ever happened in the world. Like, is there like detectives that the world knows, like real detectives? Like, obviously we know like Sherlock Holmes in history, but like right now, if they put together a dream team of detectives, like these are the people that they choose, and they want Clouseau, and not one American. They couldn't throw one American that was like a New York cop, like somebody from like R.I.P. Munch, like have a guy from like Law and Order, like something like that. No, no American.
Is Clouseau really the world's best detective? I mean, I get it. He solved the, you know, Pink Panther. You know, he got that one, but that's it. That makes him the world's best detective because he solved one crime. I mean, I didn't see the first movie, but I'm assuming he probably destroyed a lot more things than solving the crime later on. You know, so they really he's the best. I would be embarrassed if I'm in like part of that dream team and he's on there and he's considered the best. Like, what do they think about me then? You know, yeah. You know, I mean, I don't know. Did I feel, you know what? I'm glad we had no American detectives there because that team was, they really weren't that good. No, for a dream team, they weren't that good.
And we can talk about it now. Andy Garcia is a detective, but he has a private jet. What do detectives make? That's why I thought he was the tornado for a second too. Because I'm like, how is this guy affording a private jet? And he's just he's a cop. You have Clouseau, who's a meter maid.
And he seems to know the Pope well. Andy Garcia too. Yeah. So he knows him very close. And yes, Peter Sellers. Clouseau is a meter maid. And I wrote down 4 minutes into this movie, and I hate it. Like the second we saw Steve Martin writing the ticket because he was measuring the distance from the curb to the tire. I'm like, yeah. I can't believe I had to sit through this movie right now. I just knew, and that just started me off. So,
and the guy that basically throws him onto the car after he just want to pay the ticket, that was one of Elaine's boyfriends from a Seinfeld episode.
Oh, really?
I was like, I know that guy. Yeah, I wrote down the episode. I thought I did. Yeah, in the Wigmaster, she's dating Elaine's dating that guy. But no, he's waiting for the clock that's not going to go up to be able to give him a ticket. Oh, let me take out my measure. And it's like, oh my gosh. And you know what's even funnier is when he finally, because they want to put together the green dream team, which causes, God, he gives himself a concussion in the bathroom. And he's like, oh, Clouseau, I have to use the Louvre. And he walks in, slams his head into the mirror, flushes the toilet, and then somehow composes himself to walk out because he's probably concussed at this point.
Concussed. He should be bleeding from the head. I mean, you know, but I mean, I if I remember correctly, in the old movies, he was taking a lot of like medication dealing with Clouseau. He could like it made him crazy. Again, I think the last movie he was like at a psychiatric center. I think, you know, so I think, you know, so they were trying to do that, but like, you know, it's like Martin Riggs, right? We talk about that, you know, they even though they solved the crimes, they cause more damage. Think about all the damage throughout this movie that Clouseau does, like way more damage that he should have been fired instead of keeping him on, you know, representing France. Like, how was he not fired at all? Because he was basically, except for the last 5 minutes, he was wrong the entire movie.
I know. That's why I was so shocked when they finally, the straw broke the camel's back, and then he's finally back to being a meter maid. But I thought it was so funny when he finally gets called in, and he's like breaking down like his diary of like to John Cleese, and he's like, it seems like he has been doing it for like months, and he talks about 3 parking tickets. He's given away 3 parking tickets in a few months. That's it.
But was it a few months? I felt like it was like just like a day. I didn't
know what that all was.
I mean, knowing how the movie is, I can imagine it being a long time. But does that happen? So like you get demoted to parking meter maid, and then quickly right back on like the biggest case in the world.
Well, you just mentioned Riggs and Murtaugh. They were on street patrol.
That is true.
Riggs pulled a gun on a jaywalker, and then a day later they're back in as cops. So
that is true. I guess that's how the police station works then.
That's how they were, globally, I guess. France and LA have the same rules.
No, you know, this dream team, I bet you the dream team from the movie The Dream Team would have done a better job.
Oh yeah. 100% they would have done a better job. But no, it was just so fun. And one thing I didn't catch each time, what triggered the SWAT team to break in every time?
Because he put, that's an alarm system that he put in. That was the alarm that the chief put in, I guess, to protect. So, but what? Yeah, I didn't catch it either. Why? Like, was there like a special code word that brought him in, or is there?
Yeah, because it happened at the end too. They did the callback, and I'm like, because I understood like, oh, this is gonna show Clouseau. He's like, oh, you have a recording device behind here. There's a camera here, and he knew all these things. I'm like, oh, okay, but why are they there?
Well, not only that, but the chief installed that system there, but he doesn't know the code word.
Hamburger.
Oh.
Hamburger.
Oh, but why wouldn't the chief know the password? It's his. It's his alarm system.
It's like somebody not knowing their Wi-Fi. No, I know. They'll think you robbed your own house. You call but like, oh yeah, cops don't come. I accidentally opened the door. It's okay. It's fine. Well, what's the password that you set up when you started your?
And okay, so and also the way the SWAT team jumps in with the ropes and the wires and everything else is that how they go back to normal? They rappel back up the way like they all went. It's almost like they did reverse. They went back out the window. The other ones went back to the ceiling. Like wouldn't they just walk out the front door? Like you have to go back. Like are they always waiting there? Like are they just on the outside? Yeah, no, that's what I was waiting to say. Yeah, are they just sitting there waiting for like the code to happen? Like, is somebody out to get John Cleese, the chief? Or is somebody out to get him? That these guys are stationed here, like somebody's there every minute of every day, just in case, just so we can kick the window in. Why wouldn't they just stand in the room? They had about 15 people there. Yeah, so 15 people is waiting. Like, hey, Bob, you know, it's been 3 days, nothing's happening. You know, they overtime. I got the overtime, you know? And like, why did they need that much security there?
he doesn't even know because he was like so shocked when it happened, and who's paying for the windows? So not only is the France, like the people of France, they have to pay for these guys working 24 hours. They have to pay for new windows every time. That's
Every single time.
And those are nice windows. That's an old building.
Ridiculous. So dumb.
Jesus. Ay. So yeah. So then from there, this is when he tells him that he's going to be on the dream team. And there was some like writing in this movie that was kind of clever in the sense that it did come back later. And I really didn't think about it. Like the medal, when he's like, why would you wear this medal everywhere? And I'm like, oh, okay. And they didn't really mention it until the payoff later in the movie. So when it happened, I was like, oh, okay.
But you know what though? That's such a trope in so many movies too. You know,
always.
It's a lighter, it's a Bic lighter, it's
a diary,
diary, something that always. So somehow the bullets always aim for the smallest thing that on your body, and would it really stop it? Like, if is it that strong? You know, of a metal or a diary or a Bic lighter that the bullet's not gonna go through?
Great question. When I saw it, and I forgot what movie it was, that it went like a book saved someone's life. I'm like, is that real?
That's like, I mean, if that's the case, how does it go through the skin and bones? Like, how does it go through? Because the skin and bone, it's pretty tough to go through. Yet you see, bullets go through people from one end at the other, but it can't go through a book.
Yeah, 500-page book, you're good.
These bullets are great on humans, but if you're shooting it in books, don't use a book to protect you, because then you're okay.
Yeah, use a bunch of your mom's Danielle Steele love novels and you'll be fine. No, whenever that trope happens in movies, I'm like, really? Like when it's like, it hit this necklace that my mom gave me. It's like a little tiny brooch. It's like, yeah, but where'd the bullet go?
Well, it's sitting. It gets smushed. Like every time you see this, it's smushed into the item that blocks it. Like I don't think that in any way, unless you're wearing bulletproof vest, even a bulletproof vest absorbs the bullets, and it hurts the people. Like it happens. I think it was in Lethal Weapon 1 when Riggs gets shot. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, but he was in tons of pain. Like, 'cause it really comes through almost. And that's a bulletproof vest. I don't think these are bulletproof books. Bulletproof, necklace. I mean,
So there's a part when we get to in the movie, I'm going to be very ashamed if you didn't laugh at. I know you said you didn't laugh a lot, but there was one part, I don't know if not even saying you have to laugh, but it's like, oh my God, that's great. We'll get to it. It's kind of what we just were talking about, but it's later in the movie. And it's just so funny the way Andy Garcia delivers a line, because it was so just as a matter of fact, and you're like, holy shit.
You know what? I wrote down, so I don't remember the joke, but no. There's not a line. There was something that happened 15 minutes left in the movie that I laughed at. I shouldn't say I laughed, but I thought it was funny.
Okay. I think we're on the same page. So no, we'll get to that.
So I had to wait 75 minutes to have one joke that I thought, it wasn't even a joke. It was something that happened that I was like, okay.
So then we meet Nicole, who I don't know what she's been in lately, but she had a pretty good run in the 2000s because she played in Scream 3. She played Sidney Prescott in the filming of Stab 3 or Stab 4 in that movie. But and she was in in a bunch, but she plays Nicole, and she has the most awkward relationship with her boss, who again, in so many movies that we covered, they had one half date. They went to a restaurant. He proceeded to set the restaurant on fire.
I hated the scene. Between the wine bottles and the juggling. I mean, it wasn't as bad as his scene later on in the restaurant. That was horrendous.
Oh, that was
but this scene, it was just so stupid. It was so over the top. But first of all, how much younger is she than him?
No, he's banging a granddaughter at this point.
Yeah. I mean, because when they're standing next to each other, she looks like his granddaughter.
Yeah.
So that was
even
weird.
Andy Garcia, dipping into that. That's his daughter's friend. That's easy.
Yeah, but he's Italian from Italy. That's what they do.
Is he Andy Garcia?
Well, he played a detective from Italy, though.
No, I know. But isn't it funny? I feel like he always plays an Italian guy, right?
He does. Well, not for nothing. You have John Cleese playing the French, inspector,
No, I know
chief
that,
inspector.
yeah.
So why not have a Spanish guy, being the Italian detective?
And Alfred Molina was Morocco. He was a Moroccan detective. He said that.
Yeah.
And Jean Reno wasn't playing Moroccan, but you were saying he was.
No, I think. Well, I looked him up. I'm like, because it was kind of bothering me that I thought he was French, right? Because I think his name is Jean Reno or whatever.
Yeah, Jean Reno.
Right,
yeah.
right. So it sounds French. So I'm getting annoyed. I'm like,
Morocco,
all right, you got
Morocco, French. That's French.
Same thing. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, all right, you have this French actor who is acting next to Steve Martin playing a French guy like that. Like, why was Jean Reno or whatever not part of that role? So like, I looked him up and then I saw that he was Moroccan. So that's why I know. But listen, to me, he's always the professional. So in this role, he's playing like a laid back kind of guy. It's pretty cool.
I thought he was pretty funny in this role because I thought his whole bit of going through rough times with his wife, and I love every time he opens his heart to Clouseau gives him advice, and it's the complete opposite right after he gives him the advice.
Yeah. Well, is he supposed to be like Cato to Clouseau?
Sort of. Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Like, see, I think it would have been funnier if he was fighting Clouseau instead of the kids. Like the kids, like was to me that was a whole stupid thing. Like like it would fit, but yeah, okay.
And so he's like, sometimes when it comes to women, you just have to separate yourself. You know what? You're right, Clouseau. He's like, where are you going? I'm going home to my wife. It was just like these little silly things that he said, because I think that's funnier when you have somebody that's a serious actor, like a Leslie Nielsen. Like when he delivered those lines in a serious, like it's not funny the way he's not saying it in a funny way, but it comes off funny the way he's delivering it.
Correct.
I think you're right. He nailed a bunch of these lines, but I could see him in a role like that. It's like Liam Neeson in the Million Ways to Die in the West, the Seth MacFarlane movie. So good.
No, you're right. You're right. And you know what? I think the cameos were interesting to see in this type of role because, again, Andy Garcia is such a serious actor. Yeah. And he played such a goofball. I mean, especially that last scene. I mean,
last 15 years, he does a lot of silly movies.
He does?
Not a lot of silly movies, but he's in a lot of rom-coms. He was in
I can't tell you the last Andy Garcia movie. I thought he stopped acting after Godfather 3.
No, no. The Things to Do in Denver When You Die, that was after that.
Oh.
And then he was just in the remake of Father of the Bride that they did. And he was also in Mamma Mia. I think he was in Mamma Mia too. I think he was one of the love interests now.
Oh, wow. You're naming all the movies that I can't wait to see.
I do want to see the remake of Father of the Bride because what's her name from SNL does the Great Impressions. I can't remember her name. Chloe.
Is it called
Chloe
Father?
Feinberg?
Isn't it called something else? It's not Father of the Bride, right? Isn't it like the Mother of the Bride or something like that, or like they changed it up a little bit? I can't watch it. Again, Steve Martin did a great job in that role. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
But I don't think Andy Garcia is playing, Dave Parker, whatever his name is in that movie.
Do they have a Frank?
Yeah, that's what's her name? Chloe Feynman.
Oh, she's playing Frank?
She plays some kind. She does like the accent in that. Yeah, it's her and her comedy partner in real life. I think he's playing the other role. But
you know what?
Yeah, so yeah,
Martin Short could have been Clouseau better than Steve Martin. I think so.
Maybe.
They got it wrong.
So let's talk about more uncomfortableness. We were talking about so Nicole, we meet her for the first time. How weird they are when they're like sort of hugging each other because he's like, we have to pretend we're not into it. But then I'm like, they have a half a day because right after that we have the scene that we were talking about. The only thing I did, not to dwell on the scene too much, the only thing I did like about it was the timing of doing a scene like that's pretty impossible, and nobody dropped one of those wine bottles in any of those far shots, so that's pretty cool. And I don't think any of that was CG'd like to make that happen.
Right. No, it just seemed like it was like again so over the top. Like what's the audience for this movie? Is it a kids movie? Because I feel like it comes across like a kids movie.
Ugh, too
Like-
racist to be a kids movie.
It is, but I mean, but at the same time, the jokes are very childish. Like it's so slapsticky that I feel like it's like kid humor. Like they would get a crack at it, some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of prep. It's a lot of like Three Stooges. Like that was like exactly like he throws all those wine bottles. Last one he likes. Oh, good year. And then he walks over and every waiter is having a wine bottle. So you're like, oh man, save the day. And he steps on one, flings it into the the flamed meringue pie. Which the fact that is later in the movie, if I lost my restaurant, I don't care if it was because of a bumbling idiot that caused that to happen. I'm not serving an open flame on opening night. Like 18 months later, we're finally back. What are we gonna have as a special? The flaming meringue pie. Why?
Well,
not?
I mean, not to mention the fact that who you hired to do dancing or whatever, and you clearly the person that's dancing is not part of the act that you hired. So shame on the owner, for that. So,
well, shame on the owner, but shame on the dancing partner. Wouldn't she know that? Oh yeah, you're not Esteban.
Yeah. Why would you go along with that? That made no sense.
Wouldn't that be funny? Like to be somewhere when that happens, somebody tries to stand in, and it's like, whoa, buddy, nope, that's not. I don't know you.
And again, it happens in every movie. I mean, Naked Gun, the when they were in the band, O.J. Simpson and the other guy, they were like,
oh yeah,
they always replace the people that are supposed to be there. No one notices. Like no one knows that it's not part of the act.
So one funny part I did kind of like, and it was cool because an extra gave like these two extras gave these funny looks that were good. So when they're driving to the airport and Clouseau has no idea how to drive and he's really taking his hands off the wheel, and John Reno's face was the funny part of the scene was how much of a heart attack he was having each time.
But why doesn't he know how to drive? He's asking where are the brakes. He's never driven a car before. I mean, first of all, okay. First of all, Jean Reno is obviously very close to Steve Martin, or Clouseau. So if he's that close to him, and for some odd reason Clouseau doesn't know how to drive, why is he sitting in the driver's seat? He's like, I want to try today. Like, okay. Like, I mean, that scene, like, again, it was supposed to be fun, like a joke, because where are the brakes? Like he's never driven before. Yeah, right. What does he walk to work every day?
What if there was ever an emergency? Like
not only does he walk, he solves crimes. So he solved the Pink Panther in the first movie. What did he take the bus to every? He takes the bus to every crime scene. We can't start yet. Clouseau's on the bus. He's, it's a half-hour, trip, so we gotta wait.
He's got a flat. We gotta wait for him. He's gotta take a transfer.
I mean, it made no sense. He doesn't know how to drive. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I hate this movie more.
But when they're at the airport and Clouseau outs him for not being able to satisfy his wife, and that wasn't the really funny part. The really funny part where there was two pretty attractive stewardesses that both looked at Jean Reno and looked him up and down, and I'm like, could you imagine if you were him? Like they're looking you up and down and be like, you can't satisfy. I don't know what they were thinking, but it was so funny that Harold kept that in because they looked him up and down.
I know. They just and the fact that he said, "I know the minute I leave France, someone's going to steal the Pink Panther." Not even I think it took 2 steps over the line. Like, did that mean he was out of France?
Well, in his eyes, he was, because he seems like he never leaves France. He's like Charlie on Always Sunny never leaves Philadelphia. Yeah. He like never leaves France. Because, so you cross over. Was that security, I guess, or like luggage? Yeah, it was like security. Yeah.
Okay, so just because you cross security, in his mind, he's leaving. He's already left France already.
He's like an international heir somehow, I guess.
Oh my goodness. So dumb.
But yeah, happened in no time.
It happened in 2 steps. And it immediately on the TV that I don't think, like, do airports have like the news on? Like, I don't think the news, I don't think TV is on at any airport. You know, usually you'll have your flight logs of all the planes leaving. No, they have regular TV on so that, you know, people are going to watch.
Maybe it's the Pink Panther. They do the breaking news. But the fact that he sees it, he's like, okay, let's go. And so here's what I'm going to, I have to ask you, because I know you probably don't have it written down. What would be your best recollection of what Andy Garcia's character's name is? Can you get the first name?
I don't even think I give you the first letter. You know, I want to say R.
Wow.
No. Okay. I mean, this joke went on a little too long. And like, I mean, you wrote the name down, didn't you?
I only wrote down the first name and then I just wrote like what it sounded like, but it was like Vincenzo. That was, but it's Vincenzo was the first one. But yeah, he's like, pardon? And then he kept saying it again. Okay, excuse me. Said it again. Then I'm like, don't say it again.
It to me, that joke felt very forced. Like, you know, I could get it maybe twice, but I think he does it like 3, maybe 4 times. And it was like, all right, you know, we get it. It's a long name. All right, move on.
For me, it would have been funny if it was Vincenzo and then 3 types of pasta. Like, not real last names, something like, you know, it could be rigatoni, tortellini. Like, if it was just that, that's okay, fine. Still silly, but at least you're giving us something. But no, the over and over again, I'm just like, But from here, we get a pretty funny scene with Alfred Molina and Steve Martin. I thought it was really funny. The detective off. I thought that was great. The way he's like, you have a crease. What were you? Were you driving a really small car?
No. He wasn't even asking. He knew. He says,
no, you. Oh, no, I know. But that's how they were answering.
Yeah.
They were saying, like, yeah.
Oh, how was your smart car? I noticed the crease in your knee. You know, I mean, you know, first of all, I like Alfred Molina a lot. I think he's great in everything he does. And, you know, for him to play, first of all, I didn't realize how big he is. He's a big guy because you see him standing next to everybody. He's really a big guy. But yeah, I mean, he outside of the stupid tutu joke that he did multiple times, which
great.
I mean, again, so stupid. Yeah, but so dumb. But yes, the detective off. You know, I mean, again, it was a joke that was funny in the beginning, and then it went on too long. Like they literally went on like it was like a 3-minute joke that just kept going back and forth.
But it was like these little things that you wouldn't think about, and then it's like, and that is how I can tell this, and they're like, whoa, and then they just kept going, and then again he blew. Somehow again he's a bumbling idiot to the masses, but somehow he wins these little feats of mental strength because at the end he's like, oh, he's good. Like that's what he gave up. He gave up to him. But he does that. So he does that, and then what does he do like seconds later? Right, he picks up the evidence with his finger.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was they were going over all the fingerprints on the broken glass.
Yeah, they found one. They're like, you are that smart tornado.
Yeah, and well, you notice he got jealous because he didn't have anything. So he's like, oh yeah, well this one has fingerprints, which are his own. This one has fingerprints, and then he takes the one from them because we don't need this anymore, and he throws the one that had, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That was actually pretty funny. Because he kept doing the same thing. Fingerprint. He was holding it the same way in front of the camera. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know.
And this is right. I think this is the first time we meet
Lily Tomlin.
Oh, well, Lily's right. Yeah. So we meet Sonia. We talked about her earlier.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, her entrance was such a giveaway. It's just
slow-mo, little hair
slow-mo, and she looked way like everybody else looks plain. Even like, you know, Nicole, Emily Mortimer, you know, like she's cute. Like she's like, you know, she's good looking, but they made her look very like dull, you know, like it made it look nerdy and dull. Where Sonia walks in, it's like the wind blowing in her back, and here she is. And now you have a dream team of detectives. So you bring an author? Like she's an author, right?
Well, she is supposed to be like the expert in tornado because she's been writing a book for the last 2 years.
So an author.
So an author, but she's been doing the research. She's
but she's writing a book. So yeah, I mean that makes her an expert because you're just doing research.
Well, the internet wasn't big back then, so you weren't Googling things. You needed an actual expert.
When did the movie come out?
2009.
The internet wasn't big in 2009.
It wasn't as extensive as it is now.
Oh, obviously, but it was big in 2009.
Yeah. Cell phones didn't have internet that well then.
I guess
They needed somebody right there, and they needed her. Why not?
All right. And you know, it's funny. I looked her up because I thought she looked familiar.
You
but
looked her up?
I don't think
You looked her down?
I did. You know, we're talking about sexist stuff in the movie, and you know, you're talking about hot girls, and now looking her up and looking down. But I mean, I looked her up on IMDb. And she wasn't in a lot of stuff. Like she's fairly new. Yeah. But she I think she did a great job. I mean, you know, she does a good job for the role. But it was just odd to see. You know, you have this dream team of the world's best detectives, and an author.
And an author. And I thought the end was good. The change at the end, we'll talk about it later, but she was pretty good. Like the way she flipped, it was good.
It was. But I mean, would an author be allowed to go to crime scenes like that? Like throughout the whole movie? And part of interviewing witnesses and because she was everywhere now the rest of the movie. And she seemed to have access to any room she wants to in the police station.
She can go
anywhere. Okay.
And it's proven. Right. Which we'll get to later. But now we get, I got to tell you something. Lily Tomlin, I know she had a lot of work done now, but at this point, I'm sure she had a little bit, but she's kind of attractive. And I got to tell you, it was I felt something when she was reading the penthouse letter.
Wait, what'd you feel?
I didn't feel.
I mean, okay. First of all, I really never thought she was attractive. I mean, if you said, you know what, can you describe Lily Tomlin in three adjectives? I don't know if attractive ever would have came up. You know, I think she looked good for her age because she's got to be. I mean, she's. You know, and yes, she definitely had a lot of work done. I mean, she 2009, she looked young. I mean, she had good plastic surgery done because it makes it look very different. I mean, she doesn't look like the Lily Tomlin that we knew from All of Me and everything. But I do like the fact that she was in this movie because I love All of Me, and that's Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin. So to see them together, it's probably the only other movie they're in together, and I think it was so it was probably great for them to be in a movie together like that. And I think she did a great job. I think it was very because she was so deadpan the way she delivered a lot of the stuff. But yeah, I could see what you're saying. You know, she looked good for her age. However, I don't know if I would say that I felt something. That's mostly a joke, but the way she I don't know about that.
reading a penthouse letter, in my life, I would never think, oh, you know what? There's this movie, the Pink Panther. Especially you said this, is this a kids movie? She's basically reading a penthouse, Skinamax kind of letter,
and the camera is looking her up and down, as she's reading it. It's now again, this is Lily Tomlin. It'd be one thing if you had an actress known for her looks,
Jane Fonda, 2006.
Can we stay okay? I'm learning something about you that
97 Lonnie Anderson.
So you're I don't know if you're serious or not now. You're Betty White, you're see?
Rue McClanahan circa 1987.
All right.
Did you ever look fun little sidebar? Did you ever look at how old they were in the 80s and stuff while that show was on? I looked up, I'm trying to think of what year it was. Rue McClanahan was only 55, in the middle of that show, and I'm like, oh my god, you would think she's 70.
Okay, if that's the case, if she was only 55, the mom was the youngest one out of all of them.
Yeah, no,
I
that
thought.
was the bit. Yeah, because she
Right,
was made
right.
to
So
look
so
older.
if Rue was 55, you're telling me
Look
the
at
mom was my age? Right? I mean, so like that's insane. Like it's amazing, and we discussed this when we did Lethal Weapon. You know, it's
Oh, dude,
amazing how
I'm way off. How about this? She wasn't even 55. She was fifth. What year do you think Golden Girls started? She
Had to
was
be,
born in 34. So she's 52 and 51 and 85.
wow. Isn't it amazing how old people looked 20 years
85
ago?
it started. Wow, I nailed it. Yeah, it started in 85.
And that's when your grandma fetish started.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't even a grandma yet. Dude, she was 51. Her kids were in high school. They were graduating.
Yeah,
high
but
school.
51 back then was like grandma age. That was like, again, look at what they looked like. I mean, it's 51. That's 3 years older than me. so that's like someone I can be married. I can be married to.
180
ridiculous
episodes. I know. Isn't that crazy to think about? Good old Rue McClanahan. But no.
Oh my-
So we went
That's
off on like a
unbelievable.
really weird older.
Well, I mean, you
lady
started because
fetish
you were
thing.
feeling something for Lily Tomlin.
Oh, I
the
was
sex
for
pot, the
Lily
sex
Tomlin.
pot that is known as Lily Tomlin.
Yeah. LT. So the funny part about that whole scene was just the setup, and it was almost like she was setting it up as like an HR man because that's
Oh,
who
she
she
totally
was.
was.
But when she's like, if a beautiful woman drops something on the ground, and he's just
Well,
like,
is this the same scene that the girl was where he was looking at the girl at the corner of his? I'm not looking now. When he kept looking at the girl.
I don't know if it was that or another time because he got sent in there 3 different times. One was for being when he used the term "yellow man."
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That between that and he was calling dumb blondes and he's yeah. Well, okay. As much as I didn't laugh in this movie, there was one scene that I thought was kind of funny is when he did something with HR and Lily Tomlin showed up out of the blue. Like as soon as he did it, she walked right in the office like she caught him. Like she was waiting outside of the room, just waiting for that.
Oh my god! But yeah, with the whole thing, she's like trying to break him of his like horniness, the way he talks to women.
But see, like these jokes in this movie, I feel like it reminds me of like the Family Guy, like like when like Peter hurts his knee and he goes. And it goes on for like 5 minutes, like way too long. I feel like so he was ogling the girl, and he says, "No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not." And it literally like 5 times they went over the same joke, and I just feel like it was like these jokes sometimes were just pushed way too long, and it would have been funny if he did it twice, not 5 times.
No. I sort of agree. Yeah, and then I don't even know how the scene ends. I think it just ends with him oogling and getting caught. That was it, right? And then cut to Andy Garcia. Same thing. He's known Nicole for what, I don't know, 15 minutes, and he's already like double. Like that is like the signs of like sexual harassment or like people being awkward. He's talking to her with his hands on her shoulders and like looking at her, and I'm like, this guy's controlling with his jet.
Well, you know what though? She started liking him. She was going on dates with him.
She really did like him. Yeah,
she did. So, or was she using that to tease, to get Steve Martin to notice her? Which, I mean, so you got Steve Martin, who looks like he's like 75. He's looked the same age as he's done forever. Like talk about the fountain of youth. I mean, this guy, I shouldn't even say fountain of youth because he looks old from the 70s till now. Like he looks the same age, but it's always old. Yeah. Like he always looks like he's in his 70s, like because of his white hair. Or you have Andy Garcia who's got his own jet.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
I mean, is there like really like a competition here?
You know what? I wonder if some retrospective, if people really look back at actors' careers, did that work out for Steve Martin? Like, because he's always looked the same. So many other people that in comedies that we loved, obviously, so many of the ones that we loved like didn't. They died young, like a John Candy, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley. Like you never saw them change. Other people, like when they changed, we didn't see him again. Like, but with him, he's really looked the same in every single movie.
The same. And I remember I've seen his stand up from back in like in the 70s. I remember watching his stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and white hair, and so like, but but see, that was like, I guess, his trope. And so, like, every movie, like, that's the thing. Like, he never like tried to dye his hair to try to look young in the movies. Like, he literally like.
But what was the movie? He had brown hair.
My Blue Heaven. He had,
that's a great movie.
Yeah, no, it is. No, but okay. So outside of like, but for the most part, like like that was Steve Martin. Like, and you know what? It's funny. Like, I feel like you look past the white hair and you just see Steve Martin. Like, you don't see him as, you just, that's how he is. And but it is amazing because even watching now, like Only Murders in a Building, like, yeah, he looks older, but for the most part, he looks the same. Like, he really, like, even Martin Short looks pretty good. Like, I feel like those two guys aged pretty well.
Yeah, no, and I think that works out for your career because people always see you the same. So they're never like casting you at a different thing.
Here's an example, like Zach Galifianakis and Jonah Hill, right? They both lost a lot of weight. I feel like they lost kind of who they were in Hollywood. Like, because when I watch them, they don't look the same. Their comedy doesn't come out the same. They both put weight back on. And now they're getting roles again because it's like, I bet you if John Candy lost a lot of weight, and it would be a lot of weight, he was a big guy. I don't know if he'd be as funny.
I know.
And I think so. You're right. So So I think, I think the actors that try to change their appearance like that kind of lose, especially in comedy, kind of lose something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So this is where they're at the jet, and then this is the line. We don't talk about it too much, but when he says, are those your little yellow friends? And then he says, they're like, you can't say that. But he's like, but have you seen them drive? I'm like, oh my God. They can't even see above the steering wheel. I'm like, oh, this is getting worse.
And this is 2009, right? So you said, right? Yeah. This movie came out 2009. So like those are jokes from like the 80s. Like, like I can't remember any like using the term yellow, like hearing the term yellow, except for like movies in maybe in the 80s. So the fact that they used that in 2009 was kind of odd. It was like an odd choice. Like I could get like, okay, you want to make a joke about driving or something like that. But the term yellow is like, it's almost like that it's been like so outdated. Like that joke just didn't fit. Like it was just weird. Like it was a weird racist joke.
And then Lily Tomlin gives him the business. Like she comes in, like I think right after that they meet again. But so this is where I was talking about like Jean Reno when he talks about arguing with his wife, and he's like, you know what you said? Anytime I can come stay with you. And he's like, of course you can stay with me. And then he stays. The two kids come in, the dog. And the only thing I did laugh at was when the kids were talking about karate and they brought out their trophy. And then Clouseau, like it reminded me like Kramer taking karate classes. He goes, oh, I have a karate trophy too. And you're like, this is going to be huge. It's just a little bit bigger.
It's a little bit bigger. Yeah. It's so stupid. So dumb. And so Jean Reno is separated, or he's having an issue with his wife. Why does he have the kids and the dog?
Well, like he said the kids sided with me.
So dumb.
She's pissed. She was like, you know what? You're going to side with your father? You're going to live with him. And you're going to live with some guy.
So, okay, what if Steve Martin at that point, or Clouseau said, no, you can't. Now what? He's got his two kids and a dog outside the hallway. Now where does he go?
They're just like,
he didn't think that through. Like, what if Steve Martin said no, he's going to live on the streets with his kids?
Or the kids just say, you know what? I'm going to apologize to mom. You stay here. You stay with the dog. We'll be good. So the next part of this movie, we find out the Asian guy who is again a kind of tropey thing, which they've done for years. The technology, like
of course. But who is he? Is he in anything? Like
no, he looked familiar. I looked him up. Nothing that I can remember. But
he looked familiar.
No, he kind of reminded me of the guy from the Fast and the Furious movies.
Well, I found that strange they used him only because you have Andy Garcia and Alfred Molina, like two big names, and then you have a nobody. Because I didn't think I saw him in any movie, and I'm like, why didn't they get someone else that was kind of like, get Jackie Chan?
Yeah, that could have been pretty
Like,
funny.
get someone like, yeah, I mean, and he could have done the role fine.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Man, what else is he in? No, really, it's
Nothing.
really no. He was in
That's what I mean.
Pirates of the Caribbean, small role. Letters from Iwo Jima, small role. Yeah, nothing
So
too
isn't that
big.
kind of weird? You have these two big names as like the dream team. You would think like, the dream team would be these 3 cameos, and no, you have a guy that's really not in a lot of
He
movies.
nailed the audition. Harold loved him. The casting director must have blown him out of the water. Maybe they did think of someone else bigger for it, but he knocked it out of the park. But so he uses technology. He's able to figure out like where I don't know where it was. I'm trying to think what they were trying to. Oh, like there was the art dealer that, because they saw like one of the pieces that were online.
Right.
So he figured out it was a guy that was in Rome, this art dealer, who that guy looks like he's in a million things. The art dealer, when we get to his house in a few.
Yeah.
He looks super
Wait.
familiar.
You talking about Jeremy Irons?
That was Jeremy Irons?
That was Jeremy Irons.
Holy
Are you-
crap.
That's Scar from Lion King.
Yeah, and Die Hard.
Yeah. No, he's. I was going to say, I mean, there's a few actors that have like
That's
an
cool.
awesome Hollywood voice. You have
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman. You have what's his name? Darth Vader. What's his name?
James Earl Jones, yeah.
James Earl Jones. Jeremy Irons. His voice is just awesome.
Wow.
he's
I was
just-
like, I knew this guy is somebody I know. And that's so cool
Yeah.
to see him in a role. Like, that's as cool movies do that. Like, there's these characters that maybe them putting him into that role makes the audience think like, oh, maybe he's going to be the bad guy.
Well, I mean, they obviously were trying to point that way. Well, they kind of do later.
Well, they
later
end it
on.
pretty
But
quick. Well, they end it pretty quick. Like when we see the other guy next to him,
yeah,
like
right.
at the end of that scene, he goes,
Yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't have to take my shirt off. And I'm like, oh wait, this guy's here.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that when he said he's going to take his clothes off, I thought he was going to take everything off, which was I thought it was going to get a little weird.
Well,
but
it would have
then-
been that would have been a funny bit too if it was like they say the tornado has a bullet wound in his left shoulder, and he starts taking off everything but socks, pants, like everything but that. Because that's what sort of happened. Because when he took the shirt off, then
Yeah.
Alfred Molina is like, oh, but it's the other shoulder, and then he.
Well, yeah, but knowing Alfred Molina by the end of the movie, I think he wanted to see him take everything off.
Oh. I'm going to say this for the 7th time in this movie. If he solves this case, I'm going to be wearing a pink tutu.
It's so stupid. Like, what's his what's his point of saying I'm going to wear a tutu? Like, why did he want to wear a tutu so bad in front of everybody? Like I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I that's just a dumb joke that they obviously have the big payoff at the end, but like, I just don't understand. Like, if I'm like, what's going through Alfred Molina's mind that he has to keep saying that? Like, why does he want to wear a tutu in front of everybody so bad?
I know.
It's just like, it really makes absolutely no sense.
I know. And I thought he was going to change it each time, but he was like, if he.
That would have been funny. See, that would have been funnier. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah. So in this whole scene, you have Steve Martin doing the pratfalls the whole time, trying to sneak in, which again, so stupid.
Oh, well,
I mean-
no. The thing that was funny, I think, because when he was falling like up, like outside on the roof looking in, but when you were watching with no sound, and when he was on when he was on the big globe and he was walking on it, and then you're like, oh, he's just going to fall and it's going to be fine. He grabs another chandelier and you're still thinking like, oh, he's just going to like fall on his feet. And when he goes to the table, you're like, holy shit. He's really causing damage. Like,
destroying everything. I mean,
Yeah.
and is that how fireplaces work? They're all like, you could go right to the floor like that
oh, I hope not.
on every level.
I hope not.
So stupid.
I did like when we see him on the camera when they're looking behind Jeremy Irons on the camera
And
when he opens up the horses and the horses run him over. Oh my god! But yeah,
Oh my gosh.
you're right. When
Yeah,
he
I mean,
falls
yeah,
through
th-
all
them
the
tr-
fireplaces, oh my god, how dirty he
and
comes
they're
in.
they're distracting Jeremy Irons every 5 seconds because they're trying to avoid. I mean, again, and I hate saying it, but I feel like Steve Martin was the worst part of the movie. Like,
No,
if you took him out and you just had like this movie about this dream team of bumbling idiots, I think the movie would have been better. I think the way Steve Martin portrayed the role, I think ruins the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Deep shot at Steve Martin.
I guess we're never going to get him on our podcast now.
Oh man. But so then we get Jean Reno finds a note.
Oh.
It's a note that Nicole had, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't Nicole.
No, not Nicole. No.
Vincenzo.
You
found it?
Yes.
Because they thought it was Vincenzo. So it said like dinner at, obviously it's a place, the grand reopening. So they go back there.
Correct.
And I love that Jean Reno is able to, no, I'm sorry. It was Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons, he found the note when they were at that house. So then he went into the restaurant, Jean Reno.
Jeremy Irons went there because his wife was away. So he went with like his girlfriend. Okay.
So Jean Reno went in, paid off the waiter and said, oh, what can you make sure they sit at this table or what do they usually sit? I'm going to put the thing there. So again, this is the end game. We want to find the Pink Panther diamond. That's the most important thing, right? But as soon as he sees Nicole on this date with Vincenzo, Rigatoni, and Fettuccine, he then has to go, I'm going to sneak in there. I'm going to move it to I'm like, you're ruining everything.
That running joke of him being jealous throughout the whole movie, it was like unnecessary. Like it was just extra stuff that you don't need. And again, is he really the greatest detective? I feel like Jean Reno is a better detective than him. Well,
that's like it's like Inspector Gadget, right? Isn't it? Like you think Inspector Gadget's the best, but it's really Penny that does it. Penny and the dog do everything.
Yeah, but Penny's a kid though, so like she doesn't need the credit. Like why would Jean Reno is happy being the assistant, the sidekick? Like he clearly. I mean, the fact that he has he put the bug there to listen to them. Clouseau didn't do that.
No, he did nothing. Oh, no, he moved the bug that he got in the right spot just to be able to listen to their conversation. And just the fact the way he had to try to do that was so crazy. And
it didn't even pay off. He didn't even get a chance to listen to that at all. So that entire So what he did in the beginning of the movie and he burnt down this restaurant, clearly it was his fault, right? I'm assuming he should have gotten in trouble for that.
Oh,
he got sued and everything else. He does it again. How is he not not in jail? How is he still a cop of destroying a business twice?
No. Again, back to Lethal Weapon, back to most cop movies. They can do whatever they want and nothing ever happens. And how about the fact that Nicole doesn't really notice it's him until they're outside?
Wait, what was his disguise? Did he have something on his?
No, he had a mask on, right? Funny hat on that looks like Captain Crunch.
Yes. And he still had the white hair and the Hitler mustache, and he still looked exactly the same.
Yep, just fabric covers.
Not for nothing. No one knows that Clark Kent is Superman.
That is true.
So
even Lois.
I mean, if there's a disguise that's the worst disguise ever, it's got to be Superman and Clark Kent.
It's so bad.
It really is. I mean, and it's not even like they're tinted glasses that maybe you can't see his eyes. They're regular glasses.
I know. Oh my god.
Okay.
So then we get again.
Oh, I hated the scene.
He burns the thing.
I really hated the scene.
But we don't have to talk about it again. But he knocks over the waiter again. And it's the same like flaming pie, and then the whole thing starts on fire again. He's like talking to people afterwards, but now we cut to the Vatican, and it looked like a Jawa from Star Wars. The outfit that robbed the Pope looked like a Jawa.
Wouldn't you think that the Pope would have way more security?
I would hope
that someone could just walk right in there like that.
Yeah,
and. Are you in that deep of a sleep that someone could take a ring off your finger and not feel it?
Good for the Pope to be. I have to really work to get my ring off.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The Pope, the Pope, this like St. Francis ring that is like priceless, worth whatever.
And it looks heavy. It's not like a little ring. It looks like a heavy ring, ring that you're going to notice if someone's taking it off your finger.
Yeah.
And Does the Pope sleep with all his jewelry on?
Yeah. It takes too much time to take it off.
I mean, I would think like a heavy, like thick ring like that would cut the circulation off. Like when you're sleeping on it, like, like it would be like, pretty dangerous. No, was he wearing his Pope outfit in bed too?
I think he leaves his hat because Clouseau sat one of his Clouseau's butt when he sat on the Pope was like kind of a down to earth guy because, like you said, like Vincenzo acted like he knew him, kissed his hand very intimately, and then he sat in the normal chair and he like leaves the Pope chair open for whoever because they said.
Well, I don't think he was. Yeah, I think that was the wrong chair to sit in. I don't think he was expecting Clouseau to sit in there, but I want to know why the Dream Team lets Clouseau take over every single investigation. Like they it looks like they take a step back, like they're almost intimidated by him.
And what he is going to do is something that's really dumb. And even this whole scene, he goes, "Do you mind? The only way we can figure this out is if I actually wear your outfit and recreate the scene." And
why would he have to wear the outfit to recreate the scene? It's so dumb. It really is. And I would think the Pope would be like, absolutely not. It's sacred clothing or whatever. Like, you're not going to. No, he lets him go in his closet, which I think it would have been funny if it was the same outfit like 7 times in the closet.
Oh, yeah. But no, the fact
it was pretty close. I mean, it was pretty close, the outfit.
Oh, no, they were. Yeah. No, it was all the same color almost. They were like kind of the same color schemes.
Yeah.
But no, when he goes outside and he's like moving his hands and he's like, "So you were looking at the moon and blah, blah, addressing the people," and all the people are like getting angry at the motions of the Pope. So the Pope's not even talking, but the way he's moving his arms makes people angry.
I thought we were going to get a Naked Gun type of scene here. And when he was falling, I thought like his Pope dress was going to come up and he'll be dangling with his ass sticking out. Like I think it was a Naked Gun or something like that. They did something like that.
I think it was Naked Gun. Yeah.
Something like that. And I thought that was going to happen. They're going to see the Pope hanging there with like, no pants on.
I just love the way he's like, "So, Mr. Pope."
That made me think of RoboCop. When he said Mr. Pope, I was thinking like, what is this? Like, is that his name, Mr. Pope?
Yeah. But yeah, nothing comes from this whole scene. Like there was no clue figured out. That's one thing to pay off at the end.
No. They found a key. Andy Garcia found a key.
Oh yeah, he did find a key. Isn't that when he thought he solved it from that key? Right? Isn't that what?
Well, who, Andy Garcia?
That's when they figured out that they thought they had it, right? Was it something with a key, like a fingerprint or DNA?
You know what? I'm trying to think. What was the key for? Just
I don't know, but the
key to get in.
But like at this, I thought right after this, the case was solved in their eyes, and then
not yet. I don't think because because. No, because it
is. Yeah, no, this is when they're celebrating because I have it. The next scene after this is the jojoba shampoo scene. And then right after that is when they're having that gala in Paris celebrating the Dream Team for
wasn't he dangling the kids first? He had to fight with the kids. Because the chief said, should we take him off the case? And we're like, no, let's let him screw up one more time. And then then he's fighting the kids. And then he's dangling them off the balcony.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like I didn't think it was salvaged yet. What? Why? They found the dead. They found the dead body. The guy with the bullet hole, he was dead.
Oh yeah. So the guy we saw.
So that's why they solved it. Right.
That's what it was. Oh, and there was a note, and that was the dumb note that said, "Oh, I gave everything back." Right.
The suicide note. Correct.
I gave everything back except the Pink Panther diamond. Nobody should have that. I destroyed it into a million pieces.
Correct. And
that's what it was.
The woman was reading it. Somehow she had the note.
Can you imagine if it was a blank piece of paper? And then they take it. They're like, oh, disappearing ink.
So dumb. So what was the key for?
I don't remember what the key went to.
I don't either. That's because it was a big part of the scene because that Andy Garcia goes to Steve Martin and he goes, we found this big clue when you were like messing around. We found this key in the Pope's room. But
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of like what was the payoff for the key.
I don't know. I was thinking it must have been DNA because I feel like that must have been it. I don't know.
All right. Well, doesn't matter. They solved it because they found a dead body.
What it was. No, I think that's what it was. It was the DNA, and then what they did was when they found the dead body,
it's right because he printed it out. The Chinese guy, yeah,
he printed out the results, and then it was like
100% accurate.
match.
Yeah.
Yep. And then at this point, this is when they're like, "Screw you, Clouseau. You're back to being a meter maid," and Nicole feels bad for him. She brings him out food and drink, and you're like, "Wow, this guy," and he's kind of like a dick to her. Like he's been a dick to her the whole movie. I know he's been doing it, so it doesn't seem like they're together.
No, I thought he was telling her how he felt
right after that. No, I'm saying the fact that she still comes out to him.
Oh yes.
Before he opens up, because he opens up to Jean Reno because Jean Reno knows that she loves him, and then he's like, "You probably don't even know the color of her eyes, or you don't know her favorite thing." And then he went to this really like 5-minute monologue about all these favorite things that he has. So I'm like, okay. But then when she came out, I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, for her at this point, this guy's been kind of shitty. He called me drab, right? Wasn't that like the word that she hated?
Boring or grab, yeah.
But
but she worked for him though, so I mean, she still, I guess she still wants to keep her job.
But she wasn't really working for him in the whole movie. She was working with everyone. She was kind of part of the team.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, and at this point, she's kind of dating Andy Garcia.
Sort of after 3 days. Yeah, it seems like that, right? It's been 3 days, this movie. And yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, my God.
And not for nothing, Clouseau, as much as he screwed up the whole time, fine. You know what? They solved it without him, but he was there from the beginning. You're not going to invite him to the party and celebrate? You're going to leave him outside? I mean, that's kind of crappy.
That's the chief.
You know what? You don't have to give him credit, but no, that's... Yeah, okay.
What's his end game? Wouldn't he want... Like, he's not a detective. Like,
Who?
John Cleese isn't a detective at all.
No.
So why wouldn't he want... That would make him look good if he decided... But that was a funny part of the whole movie, too. Was from the beginning, when he's like, this is a super secret mission, Clouseau. Don't tell anybody. He's like, oh, my lips are sealed. And then at the end, the callback to that, he's like, I'm the one that put Clouseau in the case. And he's like,
yeah.
No, you weren't.
So dumb. So dumb.
But I did like the end of the movie when they're all sitting there at the table. Clouseau's outside. And this is when he has like an aha moment. And at this point, I think you and I, like we mentioned in the beginning, we knew that it was Sonia. But
100%.
Hopefully I was like, this could be different. But when the fact that I wish it was just another thing that we saw. The fact that the only clue that he mentions is she lied of when she was in Europe. And I know that obviously she was at the scene of all the, because he gave her a parking ticket at the other scenes of the jewelry being stolen and everything. I'm like, I wish there was more. I wish he was like breaking down, oh, and at this place you did that. And at this place there
He's
was this.
that good of a detective. That's all he needed. And he knew right away she was it. So dumb.
But I did like when they go to the table and John Cleese, they're like celebrating all the detectives, and Clouseau gets John Cleese's attention. He explains to her it was Sonia, blah, 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 and he's like laughing about it. And when he goes back to the table and mentions that, I thought that was such a funny scene because they're all like joking, and even Andy Garcia, after they're all having these great theories, he's like, "Oh, but Nicole, we're just kidding. We're just joking."
I thought John Cleese was like listening to Clouseau, and so he was putting on an act at the table and trying to get Sonia to admit it. Like I thought he was part of, like I didn't realize. I part of me thought like, all right, he's in on it, but no, yeah, it was funny. Like they basically solved the entire thing sitting around a table with her.
I know,
and they're a bunch of idiots. They're like, nah, we're just joking.
yeah. Remember, we were all together. How would she have gotten away? Oh no, but remember, she wasn't there. She wasn't feeling well. She stayed in her room. They're like, you're right. And then, but I did love the fact that you're this person that really the tornado that stole all these prize jewels, artifacts, artwork, but you're going to keep the Pink Panther on you? So she could have been gone if that wasn't on her.
Correct.
When Nicole was like, open your purse, she would have been gone. No, she pulls out a gun.
What was her end game? Like, so she kept the Pink Panther. She gave back everything else, and she's still hanging around. Like, what's her motive? Like, what is she like? It makes no sense. And what was her relationship with the guy that got shot? Because he had the bullet wound from stealing something in the past. Like, he was.
So what I thought of it was that he was the tornado, and she, from doing all the research, was basically just copycatting him so he could be blamed, because that's why she killed him. She killed him, wrote the suicide note, so it was easy to like depend on him because she knew his MOs and what he did. So I was thinking that, but I thought it was really funny because as soon as Nicole presses her at the table and was like, "Open your purse," she's like, "Well, yeah, I have to go." It's like, why'd you show up to this?
Yeah, I know. It's like it made no sense.
Show up.
Yeah, well, she's not. She's an author. She's not a real thief.
Oh,
so she doesn't know any better. Because a real thief would have been gone.
Yes. So, but here's the part that I think you said you wrote down. So when Clouseau shows up, and then obviously she has the gun and she shoots at Clouseau like within seconds. He's like, "Oh, what are you need to shoot me." When he shoots him, and you see him go down, and they show the bullet hit the metal, so the Medal of Honor, boom, he's saved. But he's like, "Oh my God, it's so glad no one got hurt." And then Andy Garcia, dude, in like not even an alarming tone goes, "Oh no, but that man over there was shot and killed."
I wrote that down. I said, "Here's the only funny joke with 15 minutes left." I thought that was very funny. Okay, so
and they showed the dead body again leaning against the wall from like this far away shot with like chaos around it, and it's just so funny that this guy's dead. They never do that in movies. Like, you see people shoot into a crowd like at the hero, and the hero dodges, and it just nobody happens to anyone else. But not
that was such a Naked Gun joke. Like, that's such a Naked Gun joke but yes, that was funny. That was, like I said, that was what 75 minutes into the movie. I did laugh.
Yeah.
So and then we get the whole chase. Right, this is the whole big.
Yeah,
I hated it.
Him with the hose. I didn't know. Obviously, you had to get into his like Mr. Magoo like antics.
He played this role like a cartoon. Like he literally played it like a cartoon. And I don't know. You can't tell me you enjoyed this movie.
No, I liked the movie. I'm not saying he did the best role, but I liked everyone else in the movie. I love when you see an ensemble of like a lot of people that I really enjoy. Like, I love everyone in this movie.
Ugh. Okay.
But yeah, so then the very big payoff. So he dives into a dumbwaiter. We get this scene in the kitchen, which is so silly. He's like, "Oh, you only have 4. There's 4 of us left, and you only have 4 bullets." And he's like, "Oh, that's bad math." But
so dumb. But
when she somehow, for some reason, she's high up, she takes the elevator back down, so she's back on the main level where everyone is.
I was gonna say where everybody is. So why would you do that?
I don't understand that either. That made no sense.
And why is everybody just standing there?
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody else has a gun like John Cleese, even though he's a chief. I'm sure chiefs carry guns.
He's completely useless. I mean, he's been like, seriously, like, he gets mad at Clouseau all the time, but as the chief, you're right. He should have done. He's just going to stand there and watch the crime happen right in front of him. Like I said, no one did anything.
Nothing at all. But the fact that she like goes, "You know what? I can't have the diamond, nobody should." And I'm like, okay. So she throws it in the air. So I guess she's an expert marksman because she throws it really far away, shoots it, pink dust everywhere, and you're like, "Oh my God." I don't know. They never said how much it was worth, I don't think, but it's like this priceless diamonds everywhere right now.
That's what I mean. Like, what's her like story? Like, what's her point? She wanted that diamond. She hung around the party, and then she's willing to destroy the one thing that she wanted in the first place. Like, I don't understand. Like, what's her end game? Like, what was her like goal?
I know. No goal. She had no goal.
So she murdered someone So she's now a murderer. She's a thief. And she's willing to like basically just, I mean, like, I don't know. I just like, it didn't make, like, I feel like it fell flat on her story. Like we get it. She did this for whatever reason. She wanted that pink diamond, but then you're destroying it made no sense.
Yeah. I think it would have been better if her story was more of she really was an author and she just wanted to make the greatest book ever. That was like a true tale of like the tornado, like wreaking havoc. And she was kind of rewriting the story and then they continue the story. But no, there was nothing at the end. It was more like, okay, I'm caught. Let me blow this thing up. And then how about this? The guy who's the bumbling idiot somehow, like way back at minute 12, had the wherewithal to pay off his like old friend at the museum to sneak in there and switch the diamond out. So he's had the diamond the whole time, and he trusts the little kids, the little brats, with the diamond to bring it there.
Yeah. How I mean, see, I feel like they needed to solve it somehow, and they just didn't know how to do it, and that's what they came up with. Because I feel like that's kind of a lame approach. So he had the diamond the entire time, so it was never stolen, and he knew that.
So they were kind of looking for, obviously they were looking for the tornado who stole everything else, but really they didn't need to panic as much because
correct,
it was fine.
Right. And you're gonna tell me the chief inspector that he's like working hand to hand and he wouldn't tell him, listen, I don't want you to panic, because he saw how crazy he was about this Pink Panther, that it's gonna make France look horrible if he steals it. You're not gonna let him in on it. Say, listen, don't worry about it. I have it. It's safe. Yeah.
Oh my god. The fact that he had it the whole time was like so ridiculous. Really. And he was him being a meter maid, because he remembered the exact car that she drove. That's it. And then what happens next? He proposes to Nicole, and I'm like, what the freak is happening?
And again, it just looked weird because he looked so much older than her, and it just so weird. And Andy Garcia, you think he's this like, sexist kind of like, like Rico Suave kind of guy. And he basically gave Nicole up to, he had a heart of gold, and he gave him up to Steve Martin.
Yeah. He bowed down in defeat.
He did.
Wasn't it funny? We mentioned like the Mr. Magoo thing for him so many times. Wasn't it a shame that we didn't? I loved the joke at the end of the movie. I really did. Like, her not having glasses on made her that blind. She didn't realize that the SWAT team was busting through the windows and that her mom was at the wedding. And she goes,
yeah. Was my mom here? Did you say?
Yeah. And Steve Martin's like, oh yeah, I think I heard her screaming. I'm like,
so that security going on, he didn't have the password, so they thought something major was going on, and they're going to allow two people to just walk right out.
Yeah. No, and the fact that his Medal of Honor had a low battery signal on it, I didn't understand that joke.
Well, I didn't know that a Medal of Honor has a battery in the first place.
That is true. It was 2009, the time of like things not running out of battery, where the iPhones not having batteries a big joke or something.
But the fact that you have this high-tech security system that, one, destroys everything in its path when it goes off, and it allows anybody to leave. So what's the point of the security system?
Oh, I know. It does nothing. Maybe Tony was on a break at that time. The fact that he wasn't securing like the east wing there.
The hallway?
Because they walked right out. But the fact I thought that was so funny. I'm like, oh my god, that could have been used early. Like, that wasn't used when they were at the restaurant. It was just more her looking at the menu and not really realizing what was going on. Because that would have made sense then when they were at the restaurant, if she took her glasses off and then all that happened and she didn't realize it. No.
Well, what if she thought she was marrying Andy Garcia? and then she put her glasses back on.
Yeah.
You know what would have been a funny gag is that the security system somehow like went wherever they went. So every time something happened, like at the restaurant, they crashed through the windows. Like it was funny. Like this throughout the whole movie. Like it would happen a few times. It'd be pretty funny.
It'd be like Pee-wee with like the word of the day. There must have been like a certain word triggers them. But wow. So that was the Pink Panther 2. Jamie, I know how you felt about it. What now? Here's a question that we were kind of alluding to a little bit earlier. Just off the top of your head, is there any actor today, if you were recasting this movie, that you could cast as Clouseau?
You know what? I don't know. Because I bet you someone like, again, you wouldn't expect Leslie Nielsen to play the comedy roles he does because he's a serious actor, right? So I bet you like someone like maybe a Hugh Jackman out of the blue, you're not expecting them to because here's the thing. I think you're better off putting like a Matt Damon or a Hugh Jackman in this role that will play it like more like a serious comedy, like a Clouseau, than someone like Steve Martin, who's a comedian trying to be funny on top of the role he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're better off picking someone that you would not expect to be like as funny. I bet you like a John Hamm, right?
Yeah.
If you can do Fletch, like someone like him, I bet you can do it better than Steve Martin. I just think Steve Martin just went so overboard and really tried to make it funnier than it was. And, it starts with the accent. I mean, his accent was so over the top. You couldn't, it was like, again, like literally, in the beginning of the movie, I could barely understand what he was saying. It was so thick, the accent. So I just think, again, I know you're going to ask me, would I recommend this movie? I would not. I didn't see the first one. I don't know.
I thought I knew that answer.
Okay. So I don't know if this is worse than the first one. Again, I say this so many times. There are certain roles that are just hard to top. And it's the same thing like the Goonies, right? If they tried to recreate, reboot the Goonies today with new actors, it would not be the same. You can't. There's certain Indiana Jones. Imagine recreating Indiana Jones and throwing Chris Pratt in there as Indiana Jones. It won't work.
No, I know.
It could be a good action comedy movie. Just don't call it Indiana Jones. And I think that's the same thing. Like Peter Sellers is such an icon. I mean, nobody, and you said it yourself, nobody can play the role like him. So when you have someone like this, that to me, it was almost embarrassing, like what he was trying to do. And I love Steve Martin, but this was not, he was miscast on this. And it was, I don't know, it fell flat.
Yeah, no, the only person I can think of is I would think it would have to be something that's European. And the only one that I can even come up with is like Christoph Waltz. And I think even he would be like too kind of try to be funny.
He'd be too serious. Well, they did make another Pink Panther movie. Son of the Pink Panther.
No, I know.
Roberto, what's his name? That Italian actor that he's like a small little guy. He's there
was other Pink Panthers too. Like there wasn't any other ones.
No, but this was one. It's called Son of Pink Panther, and it's like what's his name? Life is Beautiful guy. Roberto. You know his name.
Well, Peter Sellers. Oh, did you ever see the one with Alan Arkin?
No.
Alan Arkin played him in one.
Roger
Moore.
Roger Moore. Inspector Clouseau.
Mm-hmm.
No, Roger. He didn't play Inspector Clouseau.
He was in Curse of the Pink Panther as Clouseau.
Oh,
he played him in a cameo. But another person who played them. How about the guy that owned Brian George from Seinfeld, who owned the restaurant that Jerry went to and helped out? What was his name? Babu Bhatt.
But he played. Look up Son of Pink Panther. Isn't it Roberto Bellanini or something like that? Or
oh my God, 1993. Roberto, Benigni,
See?
yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that was in Life is Beautiful. And he's an Italian accent. So, again, you could throw as many actors as there. I honestly don't think anybody can do it. I just think because, like I said, Clouseau was funny. He played the role as if Clouseau was trying to be serious, but because of his delivery, it was so funny. And I think, without trying to be funny in a way, his acting was so natural. Again, sniffing the cream, having cream on his nose, and then talking seriously to everybody and interviewing everybody for a murder while he has cream on his nose is funny. It wasn't over the top, but it was so funny. With Steve Martin, he really played it like Mr. Magoo. He was like Mr. Magoo and a cartoon combined.
Yeah, no, I would say I know, I totally agree. Like what Peter Sellers could do is use what is in the scene I would say
Correct.
Steve Martin brought things into the scene.
Correct. So he like even Leslie Nielsen, I don't think he could do it. I think Leslie Nielsen would have been over the top also. And
He would have been Mr. Magoo. Wish he played Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, he would have been Mr. Good. Right, exactly. That's exactly like. So the answer, I really don't think are there any comedy people out there today? Like, there's really, you know what? Honestly, maybe Sean Patrick Harris, or what's his name? Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh,
no, Neil
MPH?
Patrick Harris.
Oh, okay.
You know what? If he did it in more in this, I could maybe. I don't know. You know, it's honestly, it's one of those roles that I just think they should leave alone.
It's impossible. I think that's impossible. And Quint and Jaws, if they ever, I don't think they'll ever do it, because I think if they haven't done it over the last 50 years, it'll never happen. But it's like it's an uncastable role.
Listen, imagine Rocky. Let's reboot Rocky and get a new Rocky. It just won't
I know.
work. It just,
yeah.
You know, like so many people.
Well,
are just
they did reboot Rocky within Rocky, because he was dumb, money, smart, lost money, dumb.
That is true. Yeah, and he wore the same clothes again. So yeah, you're right. You know, so.
Oh my God. So that was the Pink Panther 2.
Okay. Before you go further,
mm-hmm.
So we did this last year. We started off with a bang, and it went downhill. Now this year we had American Wedding, and what was the other good movie we had? Oh, Lethal Weapon. All right, so we had 2 good movies. We just dropped a bomb.
Well,
So,
I think Ewoks. Don't forget Ewoks. We both enjoyed that. Teak.
Okay. But okay. So if we're going from American Wedding and we got Ewoks, now we're going down to Pink Panther, which is horrendous. I'm hoping we don't find this slide that's going to keep going downwards. That's what I'm hoping. All right, so go ahead.
Well, it's gonna not continue. That's not going to continue, because we're talking a seminal movie from my childhood and Problem Child 2, our first John Ritter movie, and a great classic peak John Ritter in his career. This is like right around like Stay Tuned, like when he was really just away from TV and he was just doing mostly film. And for it, I talked to a director, Brian Levant, and that I'm not even joking. I told him this. He directed all the movies in my childhood. Flintstones, Jingle All the Way, Problem Child 2. He even did the shows, like he was like the first person to do like that requel that they do nowadays. He did the new adventures of Leave It to Beaver in the late 80s, where he brought everybody back. Wally, Jerry Mathers was back, Tony. So all of them were back. And he said from that, so many networks tried to do the other shows, but they just didn't get off the ground. But they were trying to do like a My Three Sons, like kind of like requel at that time. But it was great to talk to him, because he started on Happy Days. So he knew our pal. He knew Bill Bickley, because they were at Happy Days at the same time in the 70s. Then he worked for Bill Bickley, and then Bill Bickley worked for him on shows and stuff. But no, it was so much fun to talk to him. And we talked about his book that he made. Over the years, he's collected toys. And he has a book called My Life in Toys. And it's so cool, because he was laughing about it, because when he got the job to do Turbo Man, Jingle All the Way, which again, still a movie that's like so seminal in my childhood. Arnold, Phil Hardman, Sinbad, which, funny story, Danny DeVito was slated to be the Sinbad role, and he turned it down. Which it wouldn't have been as funny.
I don't think it would be a fun. I think Sinbad crushed that role.
Could you believe Danny DeVito knocking over?
No, right. I mean, but Sinbad was like, that was like also like essential. Like Sinbad was that, I think, unnecessary roughness. Like he was like big around his time, and I think in that movie he was able to go toe to toe with Arnold. And I think that movie, as silly as it is, it holds water.
Oh, dude, Phil Hardman banging all the moms, so funny.
Yeah.
And so we talked about obviously that, but he loved the part of like creating the toy for that movie. And he had some funny like behind the scenes anecdotes from that. But we did talk about Police Academy, which is on his IMDb, but unfortunately it's not going forward. But you'll hear that. But Brian, great storyteller. Loved watching TV growing up. Like he was a student. He knew what he was going to do when he was a kid, sitting in front of the TV during the boomer age, when everybody, like, when you had that TV set, you were sitting there, you were watching all the shows they were on back to back to back all the classics. And yeah, we talked a lot about the Munsters and like the Addams Family and him not liking the Rob Zombie one. So I'll save it for the rest of it, man. Great. You're going to love it. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.